okay, well, let's start with what does it feel like to be in flow? Okay, relaxed and energized, feeling an inner yes, feeling a sense of ease, feeling a sense of curiosity. That's really important. Okay, right. That's really important for that wide range of being able to see a lot of possibility. Feeling creative, feeling focused on the right things, right? So being able to, you know, engage in a way that is something something useful to you, right? Something that is important. Feeling that things are working out in your favor, some people might say, right? And then also, and I really think this is an important part, it's feeling calmer when things don't work, right? Or you think they're not working, where you can have that sense of perspective that maybe things are working out for you, right? That it may not, right? Letting go of the how, in other words. And that feeling calmer when things don't work, that's adaptability, which is incredibly important, as most of us know, in the process of being an entrepreneur, right? And running a business and things like that. And in life, right? I mean, we're living in a really wild time still. And, you know, being able to adapt, being able to see possibility, being able to have that eagle eye perspective, right? All of those things come from this feeling of being in flow. And so really, like, if I would summarize, I'd say, you know, there are these 6 C's: feeling centered, calm, clear, creative, curious, and coherent. And coherent, I'm using from heart rate variability and kind of the heart math definition, which we'll talk about. But, you know, essentially it's a sense of being in alignment. And that alignment is, you know, feeling a connection to yourself with your inner voice, your intuition, your agency, your sovereignty, right? So that's part of being in flow. It's connection to those around you, feeling in alignment with those around you, which could be the people, your colleagues, your family, your friends, your community, right? So feeling that sense of alignment in some way. And then, you know, it could be feeling alignment with where you are, right? Like the place that, you know, the land you stand on, in other words, and feeling in alignment spiritually, right? So flow is like a resilience plus. It's not just about being able to weather the hard things, but it's sort of like weather the hard things and appreciate and kind of weather the hard things, weather the easy things, and do it all with access to joy, right? And having that sense of curiosity, beginner's mind, lightness, so that you're always in conversation and always in relationship. It's not just like you grinding, hustling, feeling like you're all alone. That's part of what flow is. So what's happening when we're in flow physiologically? And I'm just, for some reason, I cannot see the time on this, so I'm just keeping an eye on my phone. Okay. So first of all, right, it's about having a regulated vagus nerve. So I don't know why this slide looks a little weird, but basically the idea here is that, you know, we have this, right, everybody knows, and it's pretty basic, but, right, we have our parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems that are always kind of one maybe trying to dominate the other, or maybe balancing, right? So the fight or flight versus the rest or digest. And now we know it's really, you know, there's also that freeze, please component to the parasympathetic nervous system. But without getting too much into that, when we're in that place of fight or flight, we're releasing cortisol, we're releasing epinephrine, and we're doing things that actually limit our ability, as you'll see, to be in flow, versus when we are in a balanced state where there is, right, you never want too much of anything. You want balance in the body, and that's really what health and wellness, right, is all around that balance. So we want to have enough of that sympathetic drive to like keep us motivated and focused, and also to be in have parasympathetic tone, so that we're in a place of receptiveness, right? That we're able to be in a place of rest. And that allows for neuroplasticity. And neuroplasticity is an incredibly important both, it's both what precedes being in flow, and it's also a result of being in flow. Neuroplasticity just being connections between parts of the brain that previously were not connected, right? We want to enhance our neuroplasticity because that is how we're adaptable. That is how we learn new things. That is how we're able to kind of move forward and be in that place of connection, right? Neuroplasticity is kind of within one of the definitions of connection. So, and I mentioned the heart rate variability. So, in terms of heart rate variability, so most of you probably also know what this is, but briefly, we have thought for a very long time that the brain runs the show. And it turns out, and I'm saying this as a neurologist because I thought this was, this was amazing information when all of the data, started to come out that basically the heart knows things before the brain. So if you have an EEG and an EKG running on the same person at the same time, and there is a input, a stimulus of some kind, the heart changes milliseconds before the brain. So the heart is actually, also it has a stronger electromagnetic field that synchronizes the whole rest of the body. So the heart is not just a rhythm keeper in the body, it's not just a pump, but it's actually synchronizing the whole body through this, through the vagus nerve, through the heart rate variability, and its electromagnetic field. So the heart rate variability, part of what is really important about this is that a lot of us have thought too that the heart is like a metronome, right? And each beat is equidistant from the one before. And it turns out that's not the case at all, or at least not in a healthy heart. So in a healthy heart, we want more variability between each beat. So, and anyone who, has had a baby or has been in neonatal monitoring of any kind, we learn this in fetal physiology that, part of how we measure is the fetus doing okay. In labor, for example, is how's the variability? You want it to be, that shows it's resilient, right? That shows the baby is resilient and it shows that we're resilient. And there's all kinds of predictive health outcomes that come along with having limited variability, meaning the heart does not vary as much in between beats. But this is really important, as you're going to see in terms of the practices that I'm going to get to. The last thing that I want to talk about from a neurophysiologic standpoint is something called the central autonomic network. And the central autonomic network has two functions. The first one is it connects your cortex, okay, like your part of your brain that's doing a lot of your higher function thinking. It connects that to areas that activate retention of working memory. So the central autonomic network connects what's happening right now and what you're thinking about to your working memory so that things are relevant, okay? And working memory, right, is where we store like particular places and time details that we're experiencing in the moment. So part of what the central autonomic network does there is it helps you integrate and process changes in your surroundings in real time, okay? And it links a whole array of inputs that feel salient to your brain output. The second function of the central autonomic network is that it brings signals from your heart, your lungs, your internal organs, and your emotional centers, okay? Collecting from all the organs, mainly by way of the vagus nerve, actually, to help you successfully negotiate current reality. In other words, there's information being communicated from all of your organs and from your emotions, and your central autonomic network collects all of that information from the vagus nerve, from the organs in the body, and connects it all to your cortical gray matter and to your working memory. So it all becomes relevant. So this is pretty amazing because it's connecting your gut feelings, it's connecting your heart rate variability and all of the emotional data that comes through that, your emotional content in general, your autonomic input, and your working memory is all being processed together and integrates it.